Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night.
Good night, Malaysian 370.
Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia Airlines flight with 239 people on board, including 4 Americans, has gone missing.
Scripture, the Bhagavad Gita, Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
Welcome, everybody, to the live stream. If you are new or if you have been here for a while, thank you very much for following and coming along on this journey of scientific discovery, mystery, and, whatever else you're trying to get out of it. Thank you guys for being here. I'm your host, Ashton Forbes, as you can see here, Ashton Forbes. And today, we're going to talk a little bit about the Shawn Ryan space that happened yesterday. We're going to talk about this incident with this Cybertruck explosion, which I'm going to be very vague when I talk about it because I got a strike during my giant live stream on Friday for glorification of something. So we're going to be even more cautious about it this time. And then we're going to get back into the science as well. For people that are new followers or people that have been along for a while, it's good that we repeat the concepts of the science over and over and over again. So we're going to look at an interview with Avi Loeb that he did with Fade to Black, Jimmy Church, and contextualize it with some of the science that we've been talking about. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. I appreciate it. Okay, so let's start with the incident. If you're not familiar with what's been going on, we've got this Cybertruck explosion that happened outside of Trump Tower in Las Vegas. Happened on the New Year. And it turns out this person had emailed and been in correspondence with Sam Shoemate, who works with Shawn Ryan. These emails come out, and now there's this whole new twist on the whole situation and what's been going down with this guy. And specifically in this email, it mentions in 5 or 6 paragraphs that this person knows about drones and that the drones on the East Coast are using gravitic propulsion systems and that we're in some kind of war with China, that there's a show of force, that they're Chinese drones, that they have unlimited payloads to them, and that the United States needs to come clean on how we've been using this technology, weaponizing this technology, and the situation as it currently stands with China. Wow. And at the end, the guy says, I have top secret compartmentalized TS-SCI clearance with UFOs, basically, and USAP, which is unacknowledged special access programs. Well, it turns out that Shawn Ryan, he's in the crew with all these special ops guys. This guy really is Green Beret. He really did just get assigned to a UAV drone assignment recently. And he also had, when you looked at his LinkedIn, not only is he special ops, and this is a small knit community, he also had experience with hyperspectral cameras as well, which are these crazy cameras that we're using to see these balls of plasma and stuff like that. So he's got all the right credentials. He's got all the right credentials. Now, what happened in the last day is that, and this is all happening very quickly. So as of just like yesterday, 2 days ago, a bunch of people came out and tried to debunk the letter, the email. The FBI released 2 other letters, which are completely different, that are like basically, rah, rah, Trump is the best. I'm blowing myself up. Uh-oh. Hope I didn't get struck for that. I'm in no way supportive of any way harming themselves. I never have been, by the way. Please, if you need assistance, please do whatever you have to do. And the letters are in stark contrast to what Shawn Ryan leaked. Now, a lot of people were saying like, oh, it was underlined. Like this part of the letter was underlined, or this font is missing, or there's no, I'm just making that one up. It's not fair. I should say what the real ones are to be completely impartial. I think they were saying there was an extra space somewhere, but they were saying, oh, it must be in a Word document to see the edit, like the underline edit. Some people were saying that some of the wording like doesn't sound like how someone would sound like. All of those claims were debunked by Shawn Ryan last night on the X space. He said, yes, we did copy and paste it into another format so that we could take a screenshot of it. Which, yes, you might say, hey, that's boomer, but these guys are kind of boomer. Don't worry. I'm going to, talk to Shawn Ryan here in a second as well, guys. So if you're getting upset, don't worry about it. Remember, I piss everybody off equally. Okay. So no, those emails are 100% real. All the stuff that people thought was wrong about the email ended up being right. Even the car, people saying, oh, it was the wrong year or whatever for the car. Well, first of all, he had a Mustang. It was just a 2008, not a 2006. And it turns out that's like some kind of code word. They called it like what, ISOP? Somebody in the chat will know. iSpot or iSpot or something like that. But apparently it's like some secret code phrase they actually use like when they're in trouble. So if someone can confirm that, because that's a huge deal. Because the letters that went to Sam to basically up to Shawn Ryan, they present the narrative, this guy's in trouble and he needs help. And people are chasing him. ISOPOD is what people are saying. Or ISO Pro. I think it's ISOPOD. Something like that. ISO Prep. We got there. That was the power of teamwork. ISO Prep. So, and we've already confirmed technically using technical data, they were able to confirm that the signal safety number was changed by this user because his family members had the signal change, and he went and compared it to his the person he was talking to on his signal, and it was the same person. So unless somebody was impersonating this guy in the final days, like the day up leading up to it, then that was him. That was him in those emails. So let's just do a little bit. That's just us doing straight up investigative reporting and research. And it's very powerful evidence. So any narrative must fall around that. Or you can believe, it's not impossible that somebody was impersonating him. But that email is very specific because it lists out exactly his rank, where he works, and it's all true. And then it just has this story of multiple paragraphs in it about anti-gravitic drones and us weaponizing this against China and China figuring it out, and we're going to have mutually assured destruction. So it's odd. But the letter is definitely real. And it's a lesson to the debunker type people. And also I noticed that a lot of the woke disclosure people also believe these debunkers who are like, this guy's credible. This guy's fat and he took a lot of COVID shots. Like he must know what he's talking about. And he's just going, this is all nonsense. This is debunked. Like, when you see those kind of like low hanging fruit, like clout chasing reactions where someone's like real quick to try to debunk something, I've seen it before. I saw it when I saw the Corridor Cruise video. So now I'm very attuned to those reactions. Like, and I saw it there too. Those, like, do not fall for those kind of like, I'm very smart and this is silly. Like, look at what evidence they're actually presenting. A lot of people say someone wouldn't talk that way. Like, dude, everybody talks differently, man. They can't, like, you didn't like the way they used a certain acronym. Come on, man. At the end of the day, the way we need to be thinking is we need to be thinking about what's the narrative, what's the story that actually makes sense for what happened. There is a burnt body in the car of a destroyed Cybertruck. Hopefully I'm not skirting the line here. There's a fluffy potato, baked potato, and a Cybertruck that balloons flew out of. And we need an explanation for what happened in that situation. You can't just like say, oh, this is fake, this is fake. Like, what's this? Something did happen. Now, let me present some facts for you guys. And then, or at least strong claims. And then we can figure out our final thing. Actually, yeah, before I do that, let me say to Shawn Ryan, I think I understand Shawn Ryan better now as well. And welcome everybody else who's new here. We're going to present the strongest evidence and case for what happened with this Cybertruck explosion, puffy poof thing that happened. And we're doing it in a way where we're going to keep it PG-13. We're trying to keep it PG-13, guys. So I listened to the Shawn Ryan X Space and I discovered a lot about Shawn Ryan. And I still have respect for Shawn Ryan, absolutely. But now I realize Shawn Ryan's like a company man. Like, he's a guy that he does it by the book. And he's respected amongst his peers. And a lot of them are ex-3-letter agency guys. Seems extremely well connected. Not the kind of guy I want to be on his bad side, to be perfectly honest with you. Don't want to be on his bad side. He sets this X space up, and the X space is the whole point basically was for him to create a wall of credibility with all the, or some of the best, most seasoned, credentialed agents that are his buds. That was the basic idea, for everybody to basically list off their credentials and say, yes, this is a real email. He's not making this up. Anybody that dares to claim that he's making this story up, we're going to crush you. And it makes me wonder what he was thinking from the perspective of like the ops above him. In terms of like, I want to know what he thinks was going on with this guy. Was he whistleblowing on these black operations? Or was he really just having an episode and it ended up tragically? I want to know what people like Shawn Ryan are thinking. And I think you guys probably want to know that as well. Hit the like and hit the subscribe button. You know what? I don't care if I'm called a grifter. Hit the like and hit the subscribe button because we're going to build something actually enjoyable on the internet. There's so much non-enjoyable stuff on the internet at this point. So the other thing I realized about Shawn Ryan is that because he's like a company man, I don't even bleep on his radar. Unless I have enough followers where it's like not avoidable, Shawn Ryan probably detests me. In fact, I think he called me a bored internet troll. I don't know. He said something about bored internet trolls or something about internet trolls. And it kind of felt, I felt a little bit personally attacked. I felt a little personally attacked. And honestly, it made me feel a little bit sad. It actually put cat sadness in the chat, please. Cat sadness emojis. This is actually how it made me feel. For the first time, this emoji actually makes sense to me now. This is how I felt when Shawn Ryan said that. I went, oh well, I'm still going to disclose space energy. Still going to disclose it either way. There we go. Thank you. Thank you for the correct emojis in the chat. That's how it made me feel. Because I realized I'm never going to be in the Spook Club or whatever that was that show. So Shawn Ryan was putting on this show where it was like basically a power play. And the one thing they didn't answer, I sat there for like an hour and 20 minutes listening to everybody go off all their credentials and everybody say how they're not making up the emails, they're not making up the emails, and the government's doing evil stuff. And they never mentioned the whole like bros talking about anti-gravity drones and war with China. They just never brought it up. And I realized right away, like, what am I like? Do these guys not understand like what this means, or they just think he was making all that up? Like, it was over half the letter, over half the email is all about this whole thing. It's not like it's just a passing reference. He even mentions in the end his credentials, and I'm like, well, these guys have this close-knit community. Like, can they figure out if he actually was on a black project? And I think the answer is that he was almost certainly on black projects at some point in his career. Almost certainly. This is like the exact kind of guy that's going to be on black projects. So if he has been exposed to some, let's just call it what it is, UFO technology. That could play a factor in his mindset leading up to what happened before this whole thing. And we have the best forensic evidence that is real. Whether or not you believe that it's real or somebody else wrote it, you're not going to get better forensic analysis than like we already have like this signal communication change that happened. And Shawn Ryan's got like all his goons behind him, like ready to just go to war over the authenticity of these emails. And Shawn Ryan went into hiding. Shawn Ryan went into hiding after this. So whatever he was revealing spooked him. And what that means was that Shawn Ryan was getting calls from all kinds of connections. And remember, he's got a lot of connections. I'm hoping I'm not pushing the line here because I don't want to be on his bad side. I've always wanted to just be friends with Shawn Ryan. I like him. And we don't have to. We come from different worlds, 100%. I come from the internet world. He comes from the real world with legit people with credentials and what have you. I'm just a dude learning stuff on the internet, right? So totally understand. But we've got this situation with this guy, and he's basically revealing that he was in this UFO program. And these guys, they didn't even know what that meant when they were interviewing him in the podcast. They didn't know what the whole UAP, USAP thing meant. And I talked to my sources, and they told me, like, this was yesterday right after it dropped. And they were like, that means unacknowledged special access program. Now, whether or not is he making that up too? It blew my mind that, Shawn Ryan didn't know that. Because he's interviewed Dr. Stephen Greer like at least once, right? Maybe twice. That's how I knew about the whole unacknowledged special access program thing, was from Stephen Greer. And I think it is real, 100%. I think that's where all the secret money's going to. So it surprised me that he didn't know about that. And then it also surprised me how the entire UFO community ignored it. The entire UFO community just ignored this whole situation. Thank you for that donation. Because it's all you could ask for. It's like, this is a real whistleblower coming forth. He's got this letter. And this letter is like, blowing the whistle on all this. And then he can't take it anymore. Whatever you believe the narrative to be. Like maybe you believe he can't take it anymore. He went crazy or whatever it is. That's not really what I happen to believe is true. Maybe, he was in a bad way with the federal government, maybe for leaking this information for other reasons. But whatever it is, like, I feel like it kind of deserves an answer. And for some of this information that he leaked, especially with like actual coordinates to a specific location on Groom Lake, it does seem a little too over the top. Like maybe, maybe he is just like, not all there or whatever. But it is really specific, at least with respect to that. And from the research that we've been looking into here, the reason why everybody was freaking out about Ashton, there's your thing, is because it's basically what I've been saying. I mean, the whole story of MH370 is that it's like a counter espionage mission against China. That China is stealing these scientists that are going to give them access to this extremely advanced technology. And if we don't stop it, then, we're going to get ourselves into some big super war in the future with China. That's what I've been saying is like the story of what you just saw right there. And then this guy comes along, and that's exactly what he's saying. The other thing is we've reached the point now where some people are like, maybe they were a fan of you. I don't think I'm that popular yet, guys, and I hope that I'm not. But also, please don't do that to anybody who's thinking about it right now, because then it just makes this way more confusing and harder to figure out. Because there is this stuff happening, and if we add more confusion to the pot, then it's harder to reveal this. But the weird part was that Shawn Ryan never brought it up. Never got brought up on the whole X space. They even had Ian Carroll go up there. And he actually asked a good question about, I think his was about the password related to the car. I think his was related to the car. And then they were the ones that responded that was like a password, ISO pop or whatever the heck that was. I didn't even write it down. So that's a big clue. Okay, anyway, let me give you the rest of the clues here so we can get to the end of this. Some of the things that really mattered were that the message could be something related to Trump. Like clearly there's some message going on because it's a Cybertruck outside of Trump Tower. No way that can just be coincidental. If the FBI or whatever knew he had a bomb on him, if they knew he had some type of device on him, okay, I'm going to really have to worry about how I censor myself here. It's good practice, though. If they knew he had a device on him, they would not allow him to drive around in a very public place. Keep in mind, he could easily have taken a lot of people to the party with him, if you get what I'm saying. There were a lot of people on the sidewalk that would have easily gotten into his car if he were to speed along next to or into them, for example. So the fact that only one person went to the party in the car means that the intention there was not to, take too many people to the party and give them roofies or anything like that. The intention here was like maybe some kind of message, that's important because it means it's not really like a whole like big fiesta. It's not a big fiesta. It's not this huge thing that we have to come up with this grand explanation for. It narrows down the list of possibilities. Maybe somebody was after him, and maybe there's a cover-up going on at that angle. Or maybe he was just trying to send a message because his mental state before he got to the party, for example. Now, the other thing is that he spun around the block and stopped before he got to the party. And that's where they're saying that maybe he like got the party started in his car, ready to go before he got to the party point, and then the party took off from there. So they were saying the fact that he like did a loop around and checked it out ahead of time, he wanted to make sure that was the right spot for the party. Keep that in mind. So potentially could have taken way more people to the party, check to see if the party point was the right party point, and theoretically, the feds would not have wanted to come to the party, or they would have shut down the party if they knew the party was going to happen. Are you guys with me? Are you following me? I have to censor myself, chat. We're a PG-13 stream now. Okay. Somebody else could have sent the letter, okay? So for my people out there saying the letter is fake, whatever, it's theoretically possible somebody else could have sent the letter, but realistically, knowing all the details that are in this letter that I was showing on the screen a second ago, it's pretty difficult. Pretty difficult to explain how somebody would have all these details about this guy, including the secret password. If that one thing about the Mustang is a secret password, then to me, it's like, okay, obviously the letter's real. It's really written by him. The only question is like, why was he writing all that stuff on there? And it's really weird that Shawn Ryan never actually addresses it, never brings it up. And it seems like they didn't even know. They didn't even know what that meant. I just want to understand what their impression is. And like, was this guy into UFO stuff on the side? Because here I have his text messages. Like, guys, this is just citizen reporting here. Like, this isn't anything special I'm doing here. And I guess this is why people, that's why nobody trusts the mainstream media anymore. Because, like, are you going to ever see any of this on mainstream media? Like, probably not. Like, here are the actual text messages this guy had. I think they're recent because, I mean, this is when he rented the car. So however long ago he rented the car, that's what these messages are from. And it's the most mundane stuff ever. Oh, it's been wild. So much learning and fun. I rented a Cybertruck. It's the shiz. I'm building drones in my new position. You would love it. So the new job he got was connected to drones. Okay, well, I mean, this adds like a lot of credibility to the story that he knows all about these drones that are going on. Like, if you want somebody who is like a credible person, this guy is a special operations Green Beret. These are the people that are like the ones they hire in the defense contractors and their own little private armies that they have, which I guarantee you exist. They have their own little private militias, and these are the kind of guys they hire for the secret stuff. I'm building drones in my new position. There's a picture of the Cybertruck. Okay, Cybertruck, more Cybertruck. I feel like Batman or Halo. And then this is the girl responding, right? I don't know if it's cool if I should bully you about it. How fast is it? And it's ungodly. It matches my Kobe 2 shoes I had when I was little. Oh, this is a good woman right here. It's Kobe's final, most powerful form. God, find yourself, guys. Find yourself a woman that responds to that joke like that. It's Kobe's final, most powerful form. Did you really have shoes like that, nerd? LOL. How's your mom doing? Yeah, Google them. She's still the same. No change. So lame. I bet you looked so cute in those. Did you keep them? Nah, they were stinky. Okay, the reason why I'm reading that is because there's no signs of a psychological break anywhere in those messages. No signs of a psychological break anywhere in those messages. And the FBI didn't reveal those messages. And I absolutely wonder when the feds are trying to paint this narrative of this. They found his cell phone that was burnt to a crisp, and they're pulling off. They've already somehow cracked it. They've already cracked it. Nobody's asking how. They've already cracked this phone somehow. No one knows how. And they're now leaking like notepad messages that he had on it where he's talking about like he's completely unhinged. But we just look at these private messages that I just showed you guys, and it looks like casual conversation between like a boyfriend and his girlfriend or whatever it was. Girlfriend, ex-girlfriend. And we now have confirmation he's connected to the drone thing. Okay, any last things? Let me see what else was important. But yeah, so I think very careful of what the FBI put out. The big thing that Shawn Ryan did, guys, to respect him, is that he put out this information, even though like he knew if they had given this information to the FBI, then the FBI would have basically made it disappear, and they would not have ever shown the public it. Instead, they would have just gone with whatever narrative that they were pushing at their time. So whatever it is, whether it's drone stuff or made up or whatever, praise to him for putting that information out. Now, he didn't ever really address this whole UFO thing, which to me means like this is always going to be some mythology around this. I don't know if there's going to be people that are going to, you know, I don't think anyone's going to ever claim that this was the next Bob Lazar or anything like that. But it is another piece of evidence on the pile that like there are people out there being exposed to this advanced technology that exists. And what it does to their psyche is gives them ontological shock, like I'm sure a lot of you have experienced. Oh, wow, there's this super advanced technology that's out there, and this changes everything about my life. But at the end of the day, we still just appreciate everything that's around us. That's really all we can do in this life is appreciate the people and time we have around us. Enjoy time like now, where we learn how does all this science and this physics work. We learn how does it work. We challenge one another in our perspectives and our concepts because there is this unlimited energy all around us all the time. And if we tap into it, then anything we can imagine becomes possible. Anything. So rest in peace to, let's just presume, I know there's some theories out there that say that Matt Levelsberger is not deceased, but let's presume that he is, because one of the things that was revealed was that there was like two different ways they were able to identify him, and it was not related to his passport or whatever. So rest in peace to that soldier. He didn't take anybody else out to the party with him. And, you know, I feel for our veterans and what have you that have to go through the horrors that we don't get to, that we don't see, that we blind ourselves to. So I think he has worthy. It's a worthy cause, and we owe it to the respect to his memory to like figure out exactly what happened that led to that moment, to find the truth out. So I hope we find that out, guys. Let me do some of these donations and see what's good. Tesla rental cars are always nerfed in the settings. Would be shocked if FSD wasn't disabled on a Turo vehicle, especially a brand new Cybertruck. Is that the automatic driving? I'm not sure, but there's this narrative of like, hey, could they have automatically driven it? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they can probably hack it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they could hack it. Are they going to go to that extreme length? I don't know. But my opinion is it could. So Garrett, thank you very much for that donation. I already got that one. Skullhide, the glowies are out in full force. Lots to talk about Louisiana, but almost nothing about the Vegas Cybertruck, and certainly nothing about the email. I took a glimpse at the mainstream media's reporting. It's weird. I almost never check the mainstream media's reporting, but on something like this, I want to see what they were saying. And none of them were talking about this weird email and the contents of the email and how like it's definitely from the guy. It's more credible than the FBI. Like, here we dug up this notepad message off his phone. We're not going to ask how you got in there. No, we're not going to ask. Like every other case, like we can't get into the phone. Sorry. This one, they've already got messages out within like 12 hours. Crazy. Thank you for that donation. Sooty, whose text shiz and then goes to a party? Thank you. And then Tracy Scott, thank you very much. AAI Corp is involved in the Cybertruck whistleblower pat in 2009. I didn't even know there was issues with the Cybertruck stuff. Sorry by 600%. But anyway, I don't want to spread other conspiracy theories. I'm sure there's already enough that are out there. But if you have questions, go back to the Shawn Ryan interview. And the last thing I want to say is I have nothing against Shawn Ryan at all. You know, all I wanted was present the case of MH370, this technology that's out there that I do think is related to plasma drones, that we would call them, that are extremely dangerous. And I do think that there is a shadow war for control and advancement of this technology between the United States, China, and Russia, and other countries as well. And, you know, I understand that Shawn Ryan only probably is trying to talk to people that are credentialed, people that are like in the military or have been in the military. Those are the people he's trying to talk to, which I totally understand. And I'm not trying to pressure him on that front. I wish him the best and to keep on with the reporting that he's doing that's out there. Because at some point, you know, I think I could be friends with a guy like Shawn Ryan. And he would be a powerful ally for what we're trying to do with just getting out this space energy out to the people. And I'm not trying to make light of it. It's free energy, 0 point energy, the ether, and space energy. We're trying to get the truth out about physics that has been covered up, classified, suppressed from the people, that will give power back to the people. Ultimately, that's what this is all about. And going to keep doing that until they tell the truth about what happened to Malaysian Airlines Flight 370. Okay, guys. Are there any questions I didn't resolve? I think I looked at my list here. I guess the last thing I'll say for people is that the guy had a lot going on in life. Like, he wasn't like down on his luck or anything like that. So he wasn't depressed. So there's not a lot of reasons for why people should be trying to discredit him. It doesn't seem like he was an evil guy by anyone's perspective. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Okay. Let's take a look at some science. So, one of the first videos, I'm going to play a video. Maybe I'll play a couple of videos. Because if you're new here and you're wondering, like, how do I get caught up on some of this? Well, good news for me is there's already people that have basically done all these videos, and I've pretty much already clipped all of them. So I can just play the clips, and then they'll explain it to you guys, and it saves me some time. So I'm going to play this Tom Bearden clip. Here you go. Okay, apparently I'm not going to. Files invalid. Sorry, hold on. Here we go.
The term vacuum has been used in several totally different senses. Some engineers use it to mean you just pump out all the air, and that's called a vacuum, and that's vacuum technology. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about empty space-time. We know today, for example, the Lamb shift in quantum mechanics showed that this exchange of energy between the vacuum and the charged particles is in fact real and generates real effects. And you can measure it. And he was given a Nobel Prize, Lamb was, for doing that kind of measurement and showing it in the physics literature. So we know it's real. Experimentally, it's detected. The Casimir shift, for example, shows clearly that it's there, and it does generate energetic effects in your actual materials. It turns out that in the modern view, the modern quantum mechanical view, if you apply that knowledge that's been gained there, what you find is that the vacuum is fiercely active. It's a fierce energy flux and going in all directions at all times. The energy density of that, as estimated by various physicists, is extremely high. So the energy that's there is extremely dense and extremely fierce. This drives everything that we call physical reality, from the quantum level right on up to the observed level and the observed world that we live in. Everything is energetically driven by the vacuum.
Okay. That was Tom Bearden. And Tom Bearden's explaining that this vacuum energy, space energy, by the way, if you're not familiar with why that joke, oh yeah, here it is. Then allow me to show you. This is why. This is why my life is ruined. Whoever did this to my poll, a pox upon your house, good sir. Basically, somebody rigged my poll and made it so that space energy won the poll for what we were going to call the free energy, the 0 point energy all around us. I gave everybody a fair chance. We've got free energy. We got 0 point energy. We've got ether here. And then we also had space energy. That's me doing the SpongeBob chicken face. SpongeBob chicken face, everybody. Space energy. Honestly, space energy is growing on me. Not going to lie. But I know they cheated. I know they cheated on here. Space energy was at like 2%. And then all of a sudden, it got like the most. It got the most. This is a good reaction. So for today, I called it space energy. And I think I called it space energy on Kim Iverson. If so, honestly, pretty hilarious. Pretty hilarious. So yes, for today, we'll call it space energy. And we reserve the right to bring space energy back at any point in the future because honestly, it's kind of funny. It is a little bit funny, but it's going to be 0 point energy in the end. Although at the end, you know what? Whoever makes it popular, you get to decide. So if space energy catches on, I don't really care. As long as I get to go to Star Trek world, you can call it whatever the heck you want to call it. Space energy, 0 point energy, whatever energy, magic Harry Potter wand energy, go for it. As long as I get to go to Star Trek world, that's all I want. That's all I want to have happen. Okay. So I think I got this. I'll play one more video while I'm pulling this thing up. Why is this on the wrong one? So that was Tom Bearden. That's why I like Tom Bearden. And then this one here as well is Hal Puthoff. I've played this many times, but it's a big one. It's a good one.
Called empty space isn't really empty at all. It's actually full of energy. So instead of being like kind of a quiet, empty lake, it's more like the froth at the base of a waterfall or something. And this energy is basically electromagnetic in nature. And the energy density is quite high. In fact, it's so high that when it was first discovered mathematically, it was thought to be some kind of artifact of the mathematics. But then as time went on, there were even Nobel Prize winning experiments that showed that this energy in so-called empty space was really there. We don't usually notice it because it's so homogeneously distributed. It'd sort of be like sitting in a bathtub with at exactly your body temperature. You might not notice or perturbed, and then it has effects. As I mentioned, some
that was on me, guys. That was on me.
Emission, for example, is what eventually ended up.
I can't find this interview
for Willis Lamb of Yale University. And it's called the Lamb shift. And this is a recognition that, in fact, this energy disturbs atoms. So atoms aren't sitting in a void; they're sitting in the sea of energy. So once quantum theorists realized that energy was there, the next question was, well, is there any way to tap it? And it was thought originally that probably not. It might be like trying to tap the heat energy around us. And you can quickly prove for thermodynamic reasons that it'll take more energy to tap it than you'd get out of it, so you don't come out ahead. But back in about 1984, a researcher at Hughes Laboratory by the name of Robert Forward showed that there was a particular effect called the Casimir effect, which demonstrated that, in fact, this energy could be tapped.
Okay, so Hal Puthoff basically saying that, yes, there is this 0-point energy that's out there. Yes, we can interact with it. Yes, we can tap into it. Robert Forward showed it in 1984. Okay, are you caught up to speed? 0-point energy. This is why it's such a big deal. It's energy all around us all the time. We can tap into it. We can make free energy come out of it. Yes, we can make a plasma drone with this idea that space is filled with this energy. That they figured out we can make a coherent ball of plasma that we can just control and float it around. Neat. It's also a weapon. It's also a super weapon drone. What did my boy John DeSouza call it? Large super weapon drone or autonomous super weapon drone? I don't know. We need a catchy name for it. For now, it's plasma drone. Whatever. We can make them. So I was listening. It looks like we're gonna have to watch on X because I can't find. Give me one more second while we're doing that. I'll play one more video because I just came up with another idea on how to find the video I was looking for. So I'm gonna play one more. Those are the people you need to know are Tom Bearden and Hal Puthoff and people like Eric Davis as well. I think I have an Eric Davis video I'll play. Because they're all saying the same stuff. Let me see. Here we go. Yeah, this one.
We already know, and a lot of other physicists know, that Einstein proved that gravity is not a fundamental force of nature. It emerges from the fabric of space-time when it's distorted or curved or bent. And Sakharov, he believed that the metric elasticity of space described by the space-time metric, which is just a very simple equation, actually. And he said that should come from the quantum vacuum fluctuations, because he sees the quantum vacuum fluctuations as being the seed of all existence. And he was right. Basically, that started from Richard Feynman when he got the Nobel Prize for the quantum electrodynamics theory. Gravity is not a force of nature. It emerges from space-time phenomenon, the space-time manifold or the continuum, or however you want to describe it. And it's a coupling constant measures the strength of the interaction force between particles. The coupling constant in general relativity is the universal gravitational constant times 8 pi divided by the speed of light to the 4th power. You know what the units of that are? 1 over force. 1 over newtons.
That's right.
And that's a coupling constant to convert the dimensional units of the stress energy tensor, which is the source of space-time curvature. That's in units of joules per cubic meter or energy density or pressure, because an equivalent is newtons per square meter.
Okay, so that's Eric Davis basically saying this energy that's out there can be converted to a pressure differential, and therefore gravity is basically just pressure of energy density, 0-point energy density. So there's 3 major scientists, physicists, engineers, whatever you want, talking about the same exact concept, slightly different ways of saying it, but basically the same concept. Now, I listened to this interview with Avi Loeb on Fade to Black with Jimmy Church. And it's pretty interesting because Avi is, academic. And, respectfully, I've not been super nice or generous to the academic community. But what I will say is Avi Loeb is probably my absolute favorite academic physicist out there. I like him especially because he's not afraid to just dig into any topic that's out there, even if it's considered to be taboo. Even if it's considered to be taboo, he's the kind of guy that'll go, look, the numbers say there should be negative energy, right? That's what the math says. You can't just be like, hey, we don't see it, so therefore it can't exist. He's the kind of guy that will think outside the box. And he talks about stuff like warp drives and wormholes. He doesn't dismiss them. He doesn't dismiss negative energy. He also talks about like alien civilizations and how we would interact with alien civilizations. And a lot of mainstream like astrophysicists, physicists, etc., they'll never touch those topics. They'll never touch them. Huge props to him. Also extremely humble guy. I mean, he's extremely accomplished. So he also picked up some meteorites off the bottom of the ocean. And this interview actually talks about that. I think we're gonna have time to listen to it. So yeah, actually, that's where we're gonna start. So we're gonna start about halfway into this, and we're gonna talk about some of the concepts that Avi brings up here, including like dark matter and dark energy. So buckle up. You're about to get your science lesson in right now, and right after I do these super chats. If you excuse me, I'm going to go home and fill Jeremy Corbell's mom's water dish. ITER vacuum chamber. Help me make the plasma cool. Yeah, Zinkelfellow DOE worked at Tennessee under Lynn Parker. Okay, I don't know. We might have a whistleblower in the chat right now. No, in all seriousness, people are like figuring out they can make cold plasmas, and they're just kind of doing it themselves. And I think what's going to happen is people are going to figure out like an easy way to do it with like at-home materials. But then it's a question of like, can you use the energy, the electricity that it produces efficiently without destroying all of us? So, just be careful. That's all I'm saying. Okay, let me hit up some of these other ones. Baked potatoes and anti-gravitics. What a time to be alive. Yep. Thank you for everything you do. That was the truth. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate you. CH says there's a German Netflix series called Das Signal. Yeah, I watched it. And the first episode, it freaked me out because it was really similar, but then it goes in a completely different direction after that. Takes it in a different direction. Still an interesting show. But once you learn that there's like this level of magical technology that's out there, those shows can't really like even hold a candle to reality. Justice for Josie. How do you think the plasma orbs got deployed? One of the ways is submarine. I think a submarine can deploy one of these plasma orbs. I think satellite can. I think that they can actually produce them at a distance as well. So a lot of different ways. And that's why I want to learn more about it, to learn are there limitations or how are we deploying them right now? Unfortunately, the videos don't really show us much about that. Kevin Miller. Oh, wait, no, I already did yours. Okay, so thank you guys, though. Thank you, Kevin Miller. Appreciate it. Thank all you guys for those donations. Big thank you in the chat. And one last thing on the whole like Cybertruck situation. There will be more incidents, not necessarily that tragic, but there will be more situations where disinformation will be corroborated. So if you're now just jumping in to the party to watch and follow along, you're still getting in on the early part of this. We're on the part now where we're waiting for them to fail finding the plane, and then everything's going to start to like really erupt. Because they're searching for the plane right now. And if they fail to find anything again, there's no hope for the families. They're not going to search again after this. This is the last time. So that's when people have to start thinking outside the box about, oh, maybe it didn't go down where these satellite pings that say. And when that happens, the story that I've been telling is going to be the only story that fits with the real facts and evidence that aren't manipulated by the U.S. government. And then when that happens, we can get the truth about this crazy technology that they're hiding from us, even though we're already ahead of the game. Like, we're already explaining it. I'm already teaching you guys about it. Like, we're not waiting for them. We're just digging right into it. So this conversation here is going to help us understand the mindset of academia, an academic physicist that I highly respect. And I'm not trying to force my understanding of physics and the view of the universe on anybody else. I feel like that's kind of a religious type, personal thing. But I do like, I think, okay, anyway, I don't want to get too much into it, but what I will say is that I think Avi is the type of person that will be able to get his mind, or like there's a decent chance that he would be on board with the idea of space energy, 0 point energy. I think that there's a decent chance he might be on board with it after listening to this. I'm just going to do this real quick. Thank you, Joyce. What if there's a chance they fake it? I don't know. There's like, I don't know what they could really fake. Like they're going to find like a couple pieces. Oh, we found 2 pieces of the plane somewhere. Like, what do you mean? I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think they're going to find anything. I don't think they're going to fake it. I just think they're going to fail and find nothing. AstroTurf physicist, the artificial to alternative of natural physicists. No, I think physicists are fine, guys. Physicists are great. I think that it's engineers, though, that are discovering stuff that the physicists can't explain. And that's the big rub. That's why we're stuck. We're able to engineer stuff that physics right now hasn't really caught up to speed yet. We need to like make a leap so that we can move forward. I think Avi recognizes that as well. But anyway, let's listen. Let's listen to some of his opinions, and then we can, decide for ourselves. So he actually talks. Oh, here we go. It's video. He talks here about the meteorite thing that they picked up off the ground, which I think is interesting.
And we scanned that region by putting a sled with magnets on it at the bottom of the ocean, which is about a mile deep there. And we went back and forth 26 times and collected some materials, millimeter-sized droplets, a meteoritic material, and we analyzed them. And one thing I should say within the Galileo project is the ocean expedition that I went to in June 2023. And by the way, there will be a Netflix documentary showing what we went through, going to the ocean and picking up materials from the crash site of the first interstellar meteor that landed there a decade ago, on January 8th, 2014. And so we went to the crash site, and where the fireball was located by US government satellites. And we...
Excuse me? Did he just say where the fireball was located by US government satellites? That's what I heard. That's pretty awesome. 2014, same exact year as the plane disappeared. We saw a random fireball from a meteorite to the point where we knew exactly where to send Avi Loeb to have it go pick up meteorite things off the ground with some magnets. So they sent some magnets off the bottom of the ocean after the government told them where to go look, and they were able to peel up these small meteorites. But we have a Boeing 777 flying rogue for 8 hours straight, and they're trying to claim they don't know where the plane's at. This is actually really big evidence for us. Tells us straight up right there that like we have the capability to see an airplane if we saw a tiny meteorite. Tiny meteorite just happened to catch it the moment it hits the ocean. Right? Mile deep. It's wild. So I just thought that was interesting. So I don't think I have any more follow-up. Like with respect to the meteorite thing with Avi Loeb, like that's all I wanted to know. That's enough information. Like, okay, they gave him that. We have satellite that saw it hit the ocean. They told him where it's at. He went and picked it up. We know at this point they've got pretty incredible surveillance capabilities. We've seen the Sivers video. Sivers video is literally scanning the whole ocean or the whole planet all the time, not even just the ocean. And it's probably a lot more advanced than what they want to tell the public, too. How do you know where to go? I just told you. They told them that they gave them the coordinates where to search. The point is, yeah, and a lot of people like don't believe something until they see it. And for sure, I get you. But that's how they keep it secret, is that a lot of people are that way. A lot of people are like, I'm not going to believe it until I see it. And okay, well, then that's how they keep it secret. Right? It's a good method. So let's skip ahead of that. Now let's get into the good science, okay? A lot of you people out there have been like, oh, dark energy, dark matter. I was taught when I grew up that dark energy and dark matter are that's what we have to figure out what it is. And we've gone decades and we've figured out nothing. And yet there must be some unification answer to quantum mechanics and general relativity, the very small and the very large, that unifies everything. It must exist. It must be out there. So let's hear Avi Loeb's explanation of dark energy, and let's have a conversation, or let's listen to it and come up with, what is does it make sense, or what theories, how does this fit with the idea of dark energy, et cetera, et cetera. Oh crap. 107. Sorry. Okay.
Let's do this. The expedition's got to be called the Avi Fade to Black. But can I before
and by the way, you will be the first to have a scoop, even on the ocean. If we are there in real time, we can connect and.
Yeah, I couldn't fast forward it here, but they're gonna talk about it here in a second.
Here or on the ship, you will get a report from me.
That would be the biggest news, in the history of that. Can I ask you something? What drives you? Don't give me the political answer. I don't want to hear about when you were a kid or this. No. There's something else there, fundamentally, something non-trivial that drives you. Share that with me. What is it?
I'm seeking a higher intelligence in outer space because I don't find it here on Earth.
That's the best answer I've ever heard.
I'm not going to lie. That is an amazing clip. What drives you, Avi Loeb? If I ever got to talk to him, I wish I was smart enough to ask a question like that. He just goes, I'm seeking a higher intelligence because there aren't any here on Earth. This is why I like him, man. This is like, he fits in. He fits in with 0 point energy, because that's basically Avi Loeb saying that everybody out there is retarded. That's him using the hard R. Retard. Instead of just saying that you're primitive. That's Avi saying, like, yes, we're primitive as heck. We don't even realize it. Get me out of here. Fast forward me to the future when people are like a little bit smarter. That's pretty much what he's saying right there. But he's an academic, so that's the nice way that he's putting it. This is when I went, wow, I have a lot in common with Avi Loeb, I realized. This is why he's my favorite of all the academic physicists. Because he's like, these guys aren't thinking outside the box. All these other people are thinking like, oh, we've already got it all figured out. Anybody that goes against the orthodoxy is banished. And you're like, well, we're trying to like improve and figure out all the stuff we don't have figured out. Like dark energy and dark matter. Okay.
That's why you are the chair of astronomy. And staying on, that's such a great answer. Dark energy, Avi, and I love it how you don't really give a crap about what you don't allow other people to influence you. You are influenced by data and the facts. That's you, right? That's what
and curiosity, which is the engine that drives me. I'm curious.
As it should be.
And what I tell students is never pretend to be the adult in the room. It's really important to maintain your childhood curiosity.
It's okay to be the kid, man. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's talk about dark energy. because I don't have a PhD. I don't, but at least I have the ability to think and ponder. And so when I consider, and especially that science is a series of corrections, and right now science is really starting to correct itself, going back to Edwin Hubble and the constant, and Einstein thinking everything was static, and he even had to change his mind. And then what happened in 98? Well, it's expanding exponentially faster, and now it's exceeding the speed of light at the edges of things. Okay, all right, okay. A lot of guys were wrong. A lot of women were wrong. Okay, I can accept all of that. But where does the energy come from?
Okay.
The dark energy moniker is a made up noun to fill in the blanks of the math that nobody has the answers to.
Oh, no.
Bro, I didn't know Jimmy Church was so red-pilled. Jimmy Church is just laying out the truth. He's just laying out the sauce. Let my man cook for another 5 minutes. Look at him going, where's the energy coming from? Where is all the energy in the universe coming from? What is going on here all around me? And he's going, I'm not a PhD. I'm just a guy asking some questions. And he just comes in hot with where's the energy coming from? Very good question. Big props to Jimmy Church. I have very high standards for questions. And that this dude's he just did well. This is why we're watching it, guys. This is why we're watching it.
Okay, so let me.
Now let me finish, because I know you want to answer. But it's getting faster. The energy is getting stronger when space is getting less dense on the parameter. It doesn't make any sense at all.
Let me make sense for you. I will make it sense out of it for you.
Are you saying you understand this?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Give it to me, Avi.
It's not complicated. I'll explain you the context. So,
Okay. Well, guys, there's some build up here. I mean, Avi Loeb just comes in and goes, I'm going to explain it for you. He asked a big question right there. Where's all the energy coming from? How does this all work? And Avi, okay, it's not that hard. It's simple. Guys, this was like I was watching my football team and we were down 3 points and, we're trying to get that go-ahead touchdown and you just have that intense pressure because I don't know how he's going to answer here. This is big. Let's see. He's very confident.
we are used to the fact that the gravity is attractive, right? We are stuck on the surface of Earth because we are pulled towards Earth by gravity, okay? That's because Earth has a positive mass, okay? In electromagnetism, we know that we have charges with positive and negative values, meaning that you can be repelled from it. If you are charged, you can be repelled or attracted, depending on what the other charge is. If it's identical to yours, then if it has the same sign, then you are repelled. If it's opposite sign, it attracts. And so in the context of gravity, you could imagine negative mass as well, okay? Just like in electromagnetism.
Okay. He's saying all the right stuff now.
It's not in contradiction to Einstein's theory of gravity to imagine negative masses, okay? It's possible in principle. It's just that we've never seen them, okay? Now, what would be the property of a negative mass? That gravity will be repulsive instead of attractive. So if you were next to a planet that has, like the Earth, with negative mass, you will shoot out of this planet. I mean, you will be repelled. You would not need rockets to lift off from the escape from the surface of the planet. Just gravity will push them out, okay? Just imagine taking a planet with a negative mass, putting it next to Earth, okay? If it has the same mass, that planet will push the Earth away from it, whereas the Earth will pull that planet towards it.
But does the force last forever, or does it?
Yeah,
weaken?
well, it's just like gravity. It lasts forever. Gravity lasts forever, as far as we know. So what you would end up with is the two planets, one pushing the other, and the other attracting the first, and they will keep accelerating indefinitely up to the speed of light at 1g. So that will bring the two planets very close to the speed of light. In fact, with time dilation, they can cross cosmological distances. They can go across the universe because they get so close to the speed of light. So you may ask, okay, where is the energy coming from? I just described to you a rocket.
But yes,
wait a second.
yes.
I described the rocket without any fuel.
Yeah, I like this guy. I mean, yeah. Because I didn't even realize there's still controversy over whether or not warp drive works. What he's basically saying there is, yes, warp drive is real. So if you have negative energy, you can create a wave, a ripple of gravity, and you can ride it. And you're not moving at all. It's that the wave that you're riding is what's moving. That's what he's saying right there. That negative energy is real. And negative energy is kind of counterintuitive. So because we have a lot of people watching, I'm going to play this video. A lot of people probably have seen it before, but you know what? Repetition is important. Negative mass and negative energy work a little bit counterintuitively.
Let's see what happens in an inelastic.
Now, mass and energy are interchangeable because mass is energy, because E equals mc squared, means energy is equal to mass times the speed of light squared. That equation means energy and mass are interchangeable. So whenever you hear someone say negative mass, you can change it to negative energy, and it can accomplish the same goal. But for visualization purposes, it's best to think about it in terms of negative mass. Now, everybody has bounced into something else and had an elastic or inelastic collision. So the top screen here, this one, that screen is showing what would happen if you ran into a big, heavy object. It would slow you down. When there's a negative mass interaction, like a negative mass in front of you, like the warp drive, then you can look at this bottom image here and see what would happen in that interaction. This helps you visualize how negative and positive mass actually interact. It's a little bit counterintuitive. So here we go.
Inelastic collision where one of the blocks has a negative mass. We still aren't worrying about forces at this point. We're just assuming that the blocks can stick together without any trouble. In this setup, when the big block hits a positive mass target, it slows down. But when it hits a negative mass target, it speeds up. Why? Because the combined mass is smaller than the big block alone. So for momentum to be conserved, it has to move faster. If the two masses are close to being equal and opposite, the combined mass is very small, and they move very fast. And if they're exactly equal and opposite...
Did you see that? You see it just snap away when it gets hit right here?
Exactly equal and opposite.
So basically, if you have some type of mass reduction effect, then you get infinity acceleration. This is where you can break the light barrier. And that's really what we're talking about, is literally breaking the light barrier. Breaking the light barrier faster than light travel. That's what we can enable with negative energy. So that's why it's huge that Avi is talking about it and talking about it so openly, because mainstream scientists say, oh, it's this mythical substance, this exotic, non-existent substance. But then we have Black Project engineers saying, here's how you can produce a negative energy laser. And you're like, wait, what? What? So is it real, or is it fake and made up, or are we literally producing negative energy lasers right now today?
There is no yes. Okay, but as you get further away, wouldn't the force weaken and not get stronger?
No, because the two planets will stay close to each other. The Earth will.
But the galaxies are spreading apart.
No.
Space is expanding.
No, I haven't gotten to that.
Okay.
So first, I described to you a spacecraft which is made of two objects of opposite masses that is not using any fuel. It's accelerating. You may ask, how is that conserving energy? Well, it's because one of the masses is positive, the other is negative. So the kinetic energy, the energy associated with the motion of one, cancels exactly the motion of. So when you have a plus energy and the other one has a minus that energy, the sum of the two is 0, but the system is accelerating indefinitely, and the energy is not energy conservation is not violated. Okay, I started with that just to explain.
That what Avi just said right there is exactly what I just showed you guys in the negative mass video. Is that you can achieve that snap, but energy is conserved. Why? Because it's just positive mass minus negative mass. The equations allow that. You're breaking the equations. You're breaking the equations. That's all you're basically doing there in physics. And then the physics allows for it. The math allows for it. People just say, oh, well, it's not real. It's real as anything else is.
To you that negative gravity or repulsive gravity is possible. Now, what happens if the vacuum has, first of all, let me define what I mean by the vacuum. You know, we are used to matter, for example. So suppose you have a very good vacuum cleaner. You know, you're cleaning up all the matter. You're leaving nothing behind. Okay, so what is that? That is the vacuum. The vacuum itself is not empty. In principle, it could have some energy per unit volume in it, and it will be uniform everywhere, the same value. Okay, if you
Yahtzee chat, wait. Avi Loeb just said if you took a vacuum cleaner and you sucked out all the energy, you wouldn't get all of it. And there'd be some energy still there. Boy, that sounds a lot like space energy. Sounds just like space energy, 0 point energy. I'm just going to rewind it a little bit, very little bit, so you guys can hear that again.
A very good vacuum cleaner. You know, you're cleaning up all the matter. You're leaving nothing behind. Okay, so what is that? That is the vacuum. The vacuum itself is not empty. In principle, it would have some energy per unit volume in it, and it will be uniform everywhere, the same value. Okay, if you allow for that, so that the vacuum does not have 0 energy per unit volume, but has a uniform, a constant value of energy per unit volume, energy density, then the only place where this would make a difference is gravity, because everything else in quantum mechanics depends on energy differences. And if the vacuum is uniform, there is no difference relative to anything else. So it doesn't matter.
Doesn't the temperature change?
No, it's vacuum. There is no temperature. It's the vacuum.
In the expanding universe, in the expansion of space, the more that everything expands apart, everything is going to cool down.
Yeah.
No. So Avi nailed it, right? You have this energy, and what he says right there is that this energy that's there doesn't impact anything other than gravity. So this ocean that we have, and it's just a matter of like, is there nothing there or is this huge amount? Avi's saying that there's something there. And adding that energy to the equations changes nothing except for gravity. Wow. This opens the door to the answer being to the big question of what unifies everything. This energy of, you know, empty space energy that's out there, this 0 point energy. That this is what the explanation for gravity is. And that's what Hal Puthoff's paper, Gravity as a 0 point fluctuation force, that's what it argues. It argues that that energy, that 0 point energy, is the explanation for, you know, gravity. It's a pressure force. That's why we can't find a graviton. Now, Jimmy Church, I'm not going to judge his questions, whatever, but his understanding about stuff, you know, separating, whatever, that's not really relevant on this part.
Yeah. No, we didn't get there yet. I'm still in the second step now. So
I'm doing pretty good for a radio host guy, aren't I?
Oh, you're doing great.
Okay.
So then, if the vacuum has an energy density, and energy is equal to mass in Einstein's theory, E equal mc squared. So it doesn't really matter. You can say energy density or you can say mass density.
This is why he's my favorite. This is why he's my favorite. Because I just said this. It says energy equals mass according to Einstein's equation. So you can say mass energy or energy density. Hal Puthoff's paper, Gravity is a 0 point fluctuation force, says that maybe the answer to why we don't see negative mass is because you don't see negative mass represented as, it's not this counter mass. It never represents itself as mass. It only represents itself as energy. Because at the end of the day, the negative energy is just normal energy. It's just trapped in this field of energy all around us. And that's just looking at the problem from a different perspective.
It doesn't matter. It matters for gravity, and it turns out that according to Einstein's equations, having some mass density or energy density to the vacuum introduces repulsive gravity, meaning if you put test particles, like they don't contribute much to the mass density of the universe. You just put test particles, spectators, like us. Those particles will be separated apart by the repulsive gravity of the vacuum. This is what dark energy is. Dark energy is just the existence of repulsive gravity as a result of the vacuum having some mass density to it. And that's a result of Einstein's theory. It's not just the mass density that counts in Einstein's equations. There is also the pressure. And the pressure of the vacuum is actually negative. And you have to add it when you consider the effect of the vacuum on gravity. But when you take everything into account, it produces repulsive gravity. So now you consider galaxies or matter in the universe, and imagine it's just secondary. It's not really important for the mass density. The mass density of the vacuum dominates. At that point, the matter will separate by the repulsive gravity, will get diluted, will get cooler, as you just mentioned. The temperature will go down. And you ask, where is the energy coming from? Well, it's the energy of the vacuum that is creating repulsive gravity. That's all. You are used to the notion of attractive gravity. That's why it looks paradoxical to you. But if you had repulsive gravity, you can just push things apart at a faster and faster speed. Now, the speed continues to accelerate because the vacuum is everywhere. It's not localized. If you had an object that had negative mass, then as you say, when you get far away from it, that influence, gravitational influence, will die out. But if it's everywhere, you have the vacuum everywhere with the same mass density, the same energy, it doesn't matter. Wherever you go, you still get this repulsive gravity that pulls you.
And I understand all of that because I see it.
So Avi right there, I don't know about you guys, but it sounds like he's saying that gravity is an effect from this 0 point energy, this vacuum energy that's out there all the time, and that the energy is negative. It's a negative pressure, and this is what allows for the universe to expand, like the Big Bang. This is why it's expanding. This dark energy allows it to expand, and that's happening everywhere all the time. And what he's saying there is that this energy is negative energy, because it's a reverse pressure. So technically that's negative energy, because positive energy does the opposite. Positive energy, as we see, causes gravity to come inward. So what we're saying is that this energy must be negative to allow things to separate instead of coming together. There you go. Now you guys just got caught up to speed. And the energy that I've been saying is related to this ether, this Planck ether hypothesis, this 0 point energy, it's negative. It's the Dirac sea of negative energy. It's this idea that makes dark energy just becomes negative energy. Dark energy is the ether. It's the same idea, exact same idea. It's conceptually the same thing. It just helps explain these concepts that we currently don't accept right now. But this same energy, the fact that it's going to allow us to understand gravity, is going to unify physics on the general relativity perspective and the quantum mechanical perspective. And the papers are already written. The papers are already out there. They're already written. And they just need to have a light shined upon them. That's all that's required. Let me hit up just a couple donations. Cybertruck incident could be intelligence community press, false narrative. I don't know. The whole thing about like spreading false narrative could be, seems pretty complicated for very little gain, if that's the case. I mean, somebody lost their life, so I don't really think that there's too many possibilities for false narratives. But if there is something really sinister at play, I hope we get the truth, although we probably won't. J Trend, thank you very much. Here's some love from Australia. Don't get too excited. This conversation rate equals 625 USD. Oh, look at me, everybody. I'm just Internet streamer doing internet streamer stuff. Thank you very much, J-Trend. Nicole, thank you for your donation. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Duck Vision. Kim just posted your interview. Yeah, check out the interview on Kim Iverson, guys. I will retweet it once we're done with the live stream tonight. Went into depth on the Cybertruck situation, connection to MH370, some of the details in the videos that are like really, really, really powerful, and then what all this technology means. Kim's good. She's smart. And it was a much better, more relaxed conversation than the last time. Michael Burke, if energy can be neither created nor destroyed, let's go full vision here, then it doesn't make sense that it's all around us all the time. Yeah, and that's the thing, is that you're just looking at the glass as either is the glass empty or is the glass full? And we're sitting on top of the glass, and we just don't see this energy down below us, but it's there. It's there. And it makes a lot of sense if you're somebody who likes to take a bath and you sit in the tub and the temperature equalizes and it doesn't feel hot anymore. And you get out, you're like, oh, it's not hot anymore. And you go to pull the drain out, and you're like, oh, it's still pretty warm. You realize, oh, you reached equilibrium. That's what Avi is saying right there. That's what Hal Puthoff and all these guys around 0 Point Energy is saying, is that the energy's there. It's just in an equilibrium. We think it's the bottom, but we don't realize like we're in equilibrium with the energy. So we just don't notice it. But it's there at the quantum mechanical level, 100%. And then one more. There's a series from a YouTube channel, Rotus. Yeah, I was going to look at this. I've got it queued up for maybe next time. But they've done some good stuff about, like, maybe like vortices are like the secret to interacting with this at the electromagnetic scale. And I don't disagree. I think frequency and vortices might be a way you interact with this stuff for sure. Once again, please don't anybody destroy the whole planet. That's something that I've saved for myself, trying to figure out how to make plasma balls. So, anyway, I'm being facetious, guys, but let's be responsible with this technology, okay? Let's listen to some more Avi Loeb. Let's just skip ahead. Well, let's see what he says here.
Happening, and I read and I absorb it. I get it. But this is where I start to get a little clouded. Then why, if it's that strong and that constant, right? We're talking about from the Big Bang to forever. Okay,
Yeah.
Forever's a pretty long time, Avi, right?
Well, that's
Okay,
that's the simplest version in which the vacuum has some fixed value. That's what you are describing. Yes.
but yet it's not strong enough to rip the Milky Way apart.
Oh, yeah. That's very easy to understand, because you're comparing the repulsive gravity, let's say, of the vacuum, which has a mass density that is the average mass density of the universe, to an object that, like the Milky Way, that has a much larger mass per unit volume, much larger mass density. So the object doesn't care less. It has an attractive gravity which overcomes. It has.
Okay. We're going to skip ahead a little bit here.
Know what dark energy is, what the nature of it. We don't know what the nature of dark matter is. That's 85% of the matter in the universe. It's of a substance we've never experienced. And it's possible that a more advanced scientific civilization knows these things and uses them. And so, you can see, let's say, a vehicle that is propelled by dark matter. You wouldn't see anything coming out of the exhaust. If it's repulsive gravity that is being used for propulsion, the way I described it, if you are able to bottle negative mass, you can put it in a bottle so that you use it for propulsion. That would be, you would need no fuel. That would be a means of propulsion we've never experienced, we've never imagined.
Except for maybe like right there, when he says like that method of propulsion, you wouldn't see anything coming from it. Well, here you go. Because we're manipulating the 0 point energy, the space energy, as Jimmy Church says, shouldn't it change the temperature? He actually made a very good point. If you're manipulating 0 point energy, it should change the temperature. And that's what we see happening in this video. Those are the dark lines you see in front of the orbs. It's changing the temperature. I don't think there's ever been any videos, nothing even in science fiction, that has depicted anything like this before. no one's ever really depicted the temperature change. And it's in the path of the orbs. This is showing us that there is this connection to 0-point energy, to the temperature change, to these gravitational systems and how they operate. So if you're one of the people watching this right now, here you go. Here's the hard truth. All right, ready or not, whether or not you wanted it, what you see with these drones of plasmas, they are using some kind of what I would speculate to be a negative energy laser that's projecting out in front of them, that's changing the temperature and the permittivity of the region of space in front of them. And it basically creates like a well that they're falling into. They're just falling into this well, and they already have no gravity because the orb itself is displacing itself from space-time. So the orb itself has no gravity. And then all it needs is a little bit of a push, and it'll go in any direction you want it to go in. And that's what those dark lines in front of the orbs are accomplishing. Now, in order to vector something like that, like what you're seeing right here, honestly, the supercomputer or AI is the only thing I can think of that can do this. Even trying to fake this and render this with the accuracy you see in 2 different videos of these orbs moving like this, it's beyond what you could imagine for an amateur to pull off. Far beyond. The movements are too perfect. Even imagining this being possible in real 3-dimensional space, it's got to be an AI or a supercomputer. That's why when people are sharing these rumors about like AI is already taking over the world, like I'm actually taking it seriously. Most people are just kind of laughing it off, but you look at something like this and you're like, that's not humans spinning those orbs around the plane. That's a computer doing that. Anyway, so this is important because when Avi's talking about negative energy and negative energy propulsion, this right here, it's very, very likely this is the first time that the public has ever seen negative energy propulsion. Ever. Right here. You're staring at it right there. What is negative energy propulsion? Well, make your ball plasma basically a bubble, and then shoot a negative energy laser in forward, and it'll just go whatever direction you want it to go. There you go. That's the answer for you.
More advanced civilizations, because we can learn about things we've never imagined before. And we should not argue that that we are searching for something specific, or that it's not worth checking because we are the pinnacle of creation, which is basically what the mainstream is doing right now. That they're saying it's an extraordinary claim to consider extraterrestrials or intelligence in outer space. I would say it's actually the other way around. It's extraordinary and extremely arrogant for us to think that we are unique and privileged and special.
You say arrogant, I say ignorant.
Yeah, I cannot agree more with Avi here. It is so egotistical to think that we are alone, that there's nothing else out there, and that we are the pinnacle of civilization. It's wild to think that. I'm like Avi. I'm thinking we are ants. We are little cave people that are like just starting to understand what's possible. We don't even understand the universe. The aliens could be cloaked right behind, like right next to us all the time, just laughing at us about how stupid we are. This could be like a game show that they're just laughing at us about. Honestly, like that's where my mindset's at.
Ignorant, but it's
ignorant.
The same thing.
Yeah.
What do you make of? And by the way, again, happy holidays, and thank you for taking the time tonight. And Avi and I agree to go commercial free if we.
Okay. Now he talks about technology and hiding the
It is
technology here, so let's skip ahead to that. There's 2 more parts because I think they talk about Chinese technology here, which is relevant to all this craziness that's going on. Ashton, do you have any NDAs? Yes or no? No. Well, actually, that's not true. I have one NDA I signed with somebody, but nothing, not really important. M Spiral 108. Have you reached out to Eric Weinstein? I feel like he would make a mind-bending episode. No, not yet. At some point, I'll probably have a conversation with him, though. Yeah. I'm going to reach out to more and more people. I just want to have good conversations with people. That's pretty much it. Denial plausibility. Thank you very much for your donation. Consider streaming on Rumble. Yeah, I'm going to add Rumble and probably Red Pilled pretty soon. Pretty soon, in the next couple weeks. So, okay, cool. And thanks everybody for being here tonight. I appreciate you guys. Let's finish this up and then we'll close up the stream for tonight. Okay, so this is potentially relevant to China and the technology. China, okay? Not being racist. I'm just saying it how the president of the United States says it, okay? So if you have a problem with the way I say China, you can take it up with him.
No, I don't think the government is equipped or competent enough, scientifically speaking, to figure out what these things are if they have them. And so I have a simple ask. Share it with scientists so we can figure it out if you have it. However, I've never seen anything, so I don't know if it exists.
Do you,
So that's interesting where it's like Avi is just not on the inside, right? He's like, show me and I'll know if it exists, but I've just never seen it. And this is the part where I feel bad. That it's not like the movies. They don't call up the academic to be like, hey, we need to bring you in. Nah, they've already got their best inside men who've already seen the magic. If you're on the outside and you're on the academic side, like you're just not privy to the Black Project stuff that they're doing. But, and this is probably going to be the hardest part for Avi, is like for him to realize, and really I should call him Dr. Loeb because I respect him a lot, is for him to realize that like, nope, they are playing with magic behind the scenes and they don't care about letting people see it. In fact, quite the opposite. Not only are they not going to let people see it, but they're going to do some pretty horrific stuff to make sure that the public never sees it.
when our best military pilots, and this is where I start to scratch, because Avi, I've told you about things I have seen. I've showed you videos, right? Remember we were sitting on my cell phone. I was going, Avi, check this out. All right. It's not like you haven't seen stuff like this. I am somebody that we're friends. You're going to look at it. And you did. You scratched your head and you said, wow, that's right. Okay. All right. That's interesting. And so when our expert pilots, professional observers, right? Professional observers. This is what we pay them to be observers, right? See something that they can't explain, and they should know everything in the book, right? They should be able to identify anything in our skies.
Right.
When they see something that they can't explain, how much should we take that serious at face value?
You should keep in mind that there are always technologies that are not yet manifested in our daily life that are being developed by government, because they have a huge budget, almost $1 trillion for defense, and they develop things that represent our future, technologically speaking, and we haven't seen it commercially. And so the pilots are trained on equipment that they're familiar with. It's possible that either adversarial nations or the US have access to technologies that are beyond those. And the fundamental
question, part of it, but that should be part of it. Yes, of course. But then there's that 1%, right? There's that 2%. When something goes from 80,000 feet to sea level in a second, we would expect sonic stuff in our atmosphere. We would expect explosions, tsunami, things kinetically would be going off, and none of that happened. Well, if our adversaries have that technology, it's a bad day in Black Rock. And if we have it, and we're not sharing it with the kids in our schools, right? Farming, logistics, transportation of food, heating our homes, I don't think that's cool either.
Those are great points. Now, I think Jimmy Church is thinking a little bit too simplistically there, where like we could have technology that doesn't require a sonic boom. This gravity technology does not create a sonic boom, guys. And probably if you're looking at it visually, all you're going to see is like a ball of light. Probably look very similar to a star, but much closer distance. And, but the other big point is like, okay, there's this stuff that's out there, but also this represents a level of technology that, we should give it to our kids, right? He's saying it's like free energy technology. The pros of this technology should be given back to the people. And the problem that Jimmy Church is having, and is a lot of people have, is that they think that, oh, well, us humans cannot understand this technology. Well, it's going from the sky to the water super fast. Therefore, it's alien technology. No. That's the trap. That's the trap. They want to convince you that it's alien technology and that we can't possibly understand it, so that it can be used as an excuse where we can say, we didn't commit those black operations. The aliens committed those black operations. Like, no, they've figured this technology out. It's just gravity manipulation. Yes, we can understand gravity manipulation. They've figured it out a long time ago. And they've been weaponizing it. And now we've reached the point where it's become magical. It's magical technology compared to where we're at. And it represents free energy for everybody. So this is why they're hiding it. This is the big, we can't reveal it because of all the implications of everything I just told you. It's huge. It's huge. Way bigger than just alien civilizations and like, oh, if we understood that aliens were real, it'd be like the biggest consciousness shift in the history of mankind. I got to be honest, we've already moved past that consciousness shift. Most of us have. Like Avi says, it's a big universe out there, man. There's aliens out there somewhere. Why be concerned with aliens? If we have free energy, we should be trying to advance our own civilization as fast as possible because we are playing catch up in the universe. Other civilizations have already hit the singularity if there's free energy as possible, which means we are beyond ants at this point. We're coming into the MMORPG, to the S2B, 2B, whatever Minecraft server that's anarchy or whatever, and we are really far behind. And we've got to catch up as a civilization. Yeah, we're basically this word that I'm not going to say because it's PG-13 today.
Well, but Jimmy, the fundamental point is we need to nail it in terms of the evidence. And once we nail it, and by that I mean have scientific quality data with instruments that we fully understand, that are calibrated, which is pretty much what the Galileo project is trying to do, but I welcome anyone else to do it as well. Mm-hmm. Once we nail it, or if we have access to a craft that was retrieved and it's clearly not human-made, so I'm not talking about photography, just actual materials, you know. Once we nail it so that nobody can doubt it, then the entire landscape will change. Of course, those people who are skeptics will start saying, oh, we said it all along, that it's quite possible. I actually spoke with one of them, Michael Shermer, who is a good friend of mine, and he's the editor of a magazine called Skeptic. And I asked him, if I find it and I show it to you, I want you to do one thing, and it is to change your magazine name from Skeptic to Believer. This is really what we need. We need tangible
What was
evidence.
his answer? Don't BS me, Avi. What was
Michael Shermer is the owner or editor-in-chief of Skeptical Inquirer. That's the Mick West publication. That's the one with the Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye the Science Guy and Mick West. So Avi is against that guy? Wow. And he said, if I provide you proof, you have to change the name of the paper from Skeptical Inquirer to Believer Inquirer, which I think is awesome. I appreciate it. Now, the problem with proof is that nobody will believe anything anymore. There is no proof anymore. Even if they break out an alien body, I mean, they already broke out those Nazca mummies. So supposedly those are alien bodies. It doesn't look human to me. It's got like 3 fingers, guys. It's like a 3-fingered, like miniature, like little baby alien from the movie Aliens creature. So they already broke out some alien bodies and everybody just said it's fake. So we're already at the point where like, no, there's no evidence to convince everybody anymore. So possibly the only way we can get true disclosure is teaching people the science. Teaching people the science. Maybe one more part.
You know, he's a nice guy, by the way. I'm not in any way bagging on Shermer. I would like to. But what was his answer? What did he say? Would he change the name to Believer? What does it take to move somebody like Michael Shermer off of the mark?
Well, that it's very simple. You know, if we either have images of things or record motions of things that are evidently not human-made, but they are technological. For example, if we image an object like Oumuamua that was discovered in 2017, and it has bolts on its surface, and it's not a rock, then I don't think anyone within the scientific community would maintain any skepticism if the evidence is clear and beyond any reasonable doubt. That's what we need. And the thing is, we don't have it because all of them, most of them, are not searching for the evidence. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a way to maintain our ignorance. What we need to do is collect the evidence and show it. And any sane person that looks at the evidence, it's just like a jury. It will be beyond a reasonable doubt. And when it's beyond a reasonable doubt, we can convict the skeptics.
Now,
so that's where I wanted to leave it on the interview tonight, because that's the real thing here, right? Everybody out there who's watching has some opinion and judgment over me, the MH370 videos, the science that has been being pushed that's out there. And Avi's presenting the case that if you just show it to people, you show people the evidence, something that's undeniable, that they will come around. That they will come around and the evidence will be undeniable. But that's what we did. We did that. A lot of you have been with me from the beginning, and you know that we've done that. And it wasn't enough. Even undeniable evidence. Even a situation like this, where you've got two military videos in perfect synchronization, it's not actually enough. This is important to bring up. The Michael Shermers, the Mick West, the Skeptical Inquirer people, there's no amount of evidence that's ever going to push them off their belief that aliens is made up mumbo jumbo and anti-gravity stuff's not possible because academia would have known about it. There is no level that those people are going to be pushed off of. There's a significant number that won't be able to be pushed off of it. There's a certain number that know it's possible because they've served in the military and they've seen stuff that they know can't be explained conventionally. They may not know exactly how it works, but they know they've seen stuff. But if this isn't enough for people, if that's not enough for people to really have people questioning things, considering that's a real airplane that's still missing today, there's not. And so what those people need to learn is this. This is an information war. This is not a situation where you just have to present the evidence and then it'll all be believed. This is an information war. And this goes back to something that I think that Shawn Ryan and I have one thing in common. You're like, hey, Ashton, why are you bringing it back to Shawn Ryan all of a sudden? Because although Shawn Ryan comes from a Fed military background, which I highly respect, and I've worked with the veterans a lot in the last few years, they want to win. They will execute and do whatever it takes to win. And I'm exactly the same way. Whatever it takes to achieve my goals, I don't care if it means going against the entire United States intelligence apparatus. I don't care if it means exposing our most powerful secret weapons to the public. I don't care if it means that we have this free energy technology that completely shatters our entire socioeconomic way of life. Whatever it takes for me to win, to get the answers to MH370 and why we zapped that airplane out of the sky, I'm going to win. I'm going to do anything that it takes. If that means I have to be a jackass on the internet so that people will engage with the content, so that they will see the evidence and let the evidence do the talking, then that's what I will do. So hopefully we can meet on that level of both just wanting to win and get the truth and sharing a general disdain for the three-letter agencies and the corruption that they spread. And I hope that at some point in the future, Shawn Ryan and I hope we have a good conversation, because I think that there's a lot of things that we see eye to eye on in terms of what the federal government's doing, the black operations that they're conducting, and, revealing the secrets they're hiding that would change our world. So thank you, everybody in the chat today for watching the live stream. Hopefully you learned a little bit about science. You heard my opinion on the Cybertruck situation. I probably won't be doing a lot more on that. I want to go back to talking more about the science and plasma and looking into microchips, things like that. But I urge you to come to your own opinion, look at the evidence for yourself, come to your own opinion, be a critical thinker, and come to a story that makes sense, as opposed to just being somebody who shoots down other people's ideas. Come up with your own story for what you think makes sense, and, you know, stick to your guns, stick to the evidence. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night, guys. We will be back on Wednesday, everyone. Which is the one we're going with? Let's go with this one.
Infrared eyes, scanning the black, tracking the heat, never turning back. Control 22, a covert gaze. Control 33, in the cosmic maze. Controls in the mix, secrets untold. Silent watchers, brave and bold. In the shadows, they silently glide, protecting our interests far and wide. As fierce, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. In the silence of space, they keep their post, shields unseen yet feared the most. With precision and speed, they warn of danger, keeping us safe from the missile's anger. As beers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. And roles in the mix, secrets untold, silent watchers, brave and bold. In the shadows, they silently glide, protecting our interests far and wide. As beers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. As beers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to